Hello again, and welcome to this episode of Little Bangor Stories. It's a big year for Bangor Drama Club. They're celebrating 90 years of providing entertainment to their audiences and opportunities in theatre for so many over the decades. So I joined a few stalwarts one evening to hear more, and we were supported by a small audience. So you could almost say that I too trod the boards at their clever little theatre on Hamilton Road. Well, almost. Our unscripted performance was opened by Joan Smith, recounting her early days with the club.
I, at one stage, was at Dalriada School, and Dalriada School in Ballymoney always did Shakespearean plays, and I was fortunate up to the age of 14 to be involved on the stage, and that gave me a taste, along with the well-known drama festival there. I came here, got involved with sport more originally, and then when I went to Queen's, thought it would be nice to have something to keep me sane, I suppose, and came to the drama club and just found it such a friendly, homely place to be, particularly in the 1970s, because there was so much going on in the world, and indeed in Northern Ireland, and there we were having sane mutual support sessions here, doing plays that we loved. And it didn't matter what you did. You either acted, you directed, you prompted, you did all sorts of things.
And here's a voice you may know from her career with BBC Radio Ulster. Then Linda Ray, now Linda Taylor.
Would you like to hear my very first experience in Bangor Drama Club?
Absolutely, of course.
Well, we're going back to 1963, and I was 18. And my mother had seen an ad in the paper. They were having auditions for a play called Anne Veronica by H.G. Wells. And she said to me, look, because she knew, I just didn't want to do anything else but act. And she pointed it out to me, and I went down. The auditions were on a Friday night. I remember in the old kitchen, sitting round a table not unlike this, and reading. And there were several young girls' parts in it, so I read them all. The next day, Saturday morning, I went out to meet one of my chums for coffee. Now, we didn't have a phone in those days, right? So when I came back, my mother said to me, there was a man up here from the drama club looking for you. And I said, oh, all right. And she had a script of Anne Veronica in her hand. And she said to me, he wants you to play Anne Veronica. And I said, are you sure? And she said, well, I think that's what he said. And you have to be down at 8 o'clock on Monday night for rehearsals. So I thought, I can't have been given the lead part in this play. There's some mistake. So Anne Veronica was the very first person on stage. She had to come front of the curtains and say, good evening, I'm Anne Veronica Stanley. So I had the first line in the play, and we were all sitting round, and I didn't want to say it in case one of the other girls was going to say it, because I still didn't think I had the part. And then Howard Stewart, who was the director, said, right, away you go.
And that was that?
And that was that. No, I mean, I've been away from it, for quite a long time, but never lost touch. But when I retired, in fact, before I retired, I came back to live in Bangor and just picked up where I left off.
Now, when you went to that rehearsal, was that in the little theatre?
No, that was in our premises down opposite the beautifully named, but not aptly named, Primrose Lane, which was full of potholes and big holes and all the rest of it. We had our little theatre down there.
So that's off Central Avenue?
Yes, it's nearly where the little theatre was, almost opposite that. There's a laneway still there. In fact, our old premises are still there. And that's where they were. Yeah.
So,
but we did our performances at that time in the British Legion Hall. But where did it all start 90 years ago? Here's Claire Greer.
From research into the archive, I think it started in 1936 as a play reading group. A group of maybe 4 to 6 people started it. And they met in various places, like the hotels in Bangor, and they met for a coffee, I assume, and read plays. And then after that, they started doing plays. And I think they used to perform in Dufferin Hall. at one point in time.
Which is more or less across the road
And they
from where we
possibly
are.
used that as a rehearsal space as well. I'm not entirely sure. But we didn't have a premises until the 1940s, at which time, which I think was just after the war. The premises that we had on Primrose Lane was a garage at one point, I think, and was owned by Lord Bangor. And Lord Bangor gave it to Bangor Drama Club. So it was a rehearsal space, and it was also used as like a dad's army type place, you know, during the war. And then it was given to Bangor Drama Club after the war. So that was our premises up until we bought here in 2015, and renovated it and opened here in 2017. So we didn't actually have a performance space for a while, but we had a home from the late 1940s, which we were kind of lucky.
But
to have.
I do remember going to see plays in the little theatre.
Yes.
Your little theatre.
Yeah, the wee small place on Primrose Lane, yes, because we renovated that after the little theatre was knocked down. Basically, it was owned by Bangor Operatic, and we used to use it for our productions. And then our premises in Primrose Lane was like a rehearsal space, and we used to have our club nights there. It was a small stage upstairs in the green room, as far as I remember, but I don't remember. It was before my time, but seemingly they maybe did one acts and things in it. But after the little theatre was closed, then we renovated the downstairs of the theatre on Primrose Lane. It was like 76 seats. It was quite small, but it was very popular and with people who knew it was there. Surprisingly, a lot of people didn't know it was there. But yes, so we had that from, I think, 1993 that was opened. 1994.
Also around our table, Michael Ivers, who joined the club in 1981 at the height of its popularity.
At that stage, Bangor Drama Club was the biggest drama club in all of Ireland. There was over 400 members. And in reality, through the 80s into the 90s, there were actually about 5 drama clubs within Bangor Drama Club. There were frequently occasions when you had 3 or 4 productions running at the same time. And I remember being down frequently at the old clubhouse in Primrose Lane. And there would be rehearsals going on in every room, which was fabulous. I mean, there were sometimes 2 or 3 one-acts going on in the year. We had a summer show, we had an autumn show, we had a Christmas show, and we had the main festival show. Sometimes we even had 2 festival plays out in the circuit at the same time. So it was busy. And the first play I ever got to direct for Bangor was in 1994, but I'd been on a waiting list since 1992 to see if I could get to direct a play. And the waiting list in 1992 was 4 years, and the only reason that I got bumped up the queue was because Dan Gilbert, who was a very well-established member, was very keen to get me started so that I would do another play that he wanted done. So that was the beginning of that. But it was a very, very big, vibrant organisation at that time.
And had you appeared on stage yourself before you directed this play?
Yes, from 1981, 1982. First play I was in was The Roses of Eyam, playing character Bedlam. And it was about the Great Plague in a little town called Eyam. Huge cast, fabulous stories from touring around the festivals. There was one night in doing that play, and we were on in Portadown Festival it was, yeah. And my character always went around in the play with a character called the Major, who was played by Don Ritchie. That night, and I was playing a character who was physically and mentally handicapped. That night on stage, I started to get a migraine, and I knew it was a bad one. And the very last scene in the play, and I knew I was struggling getting to the end of the play, and the very last scene finished with all the spotlights going out one by one, and the Major had a speech about the lights going out one by one. As the lights went out one by one, and the 2 of us were the final characters on stage, I could feel myself going out at the same time. I could feel Dawn holding on to me more and more tightly as I could feel I was keeling over. And we finally got to the end, and I just was out. And I woke up in Cherry McElwain's Mini, driving past the maze, trying to figure out how I'd got dressed. So it was a few interesting times. Cherry assured me it wasn't her.
It was important to remember that it in many ways it was great, but it was harder to get, if you like, your part that you might want, or the play, as Michael has said, that you might wanted to direct or whatever. But my memory is always that eventually, you got there in a way. I remember directing a one act called Michael that was the very first one I'd ever done. So at least you got the chance, even with all those members. There was enough going on, that's quite right. And the festival play was always hugely important. My memory of being at the festival play for the very first time and opening, as we were talking about, and being on stage. And my problem was that I was in Ballymoney Drama Festival, not long left Ballymoney, so I was known and knew few people who were likely to be in the audience, and the curtains opened, and the line that I was supposed to be saying was, "Gee, listen to the wind," and there was no wind. The sound person had not appeared, and there was no wind. And I have to say, I was pretty young at the time, and I kept thinking, gracious, what do I do? What do I do? And all I did was walk across to poor old Valerie Burns and say, under my breath, what do I do? So there are all sorts of things like that you can remember, including, another thing that you did, you had to chase a cat, because we took Everybody Loves Opal, a play, round all the festivals, but we couldn't carry a cat all the places that we were. So I have visions of various drama club members chasing a cat in Ballymoney to get the cat to be on the stage in the evening. So we had to be versatile and different, and because it wasn't just as easy to find all the things that you might have wanted along the way. You went ahead.
And I'm intrigued that both of you have directed plays.
I'm in the process of directing one.
Are you?
Yes.
Fantastic. How do you get to that stage? Is it just that you don't want to be, treading the boards anymore, or do you just want to boss people about?
I love bossing them about. No, we are, the halcyon days are over. And I don't know how many members we have now, but if we have 100 perhaps.
I think we have about 65 maybe,
65.
or 70 possibly.
And it's just very difficult to get somebody to come forward and direct a play. And I've done a bit of directing in the past here, but this has been, I'm directing Boyd's Shop, which the reason it was chosen was because its first performance was 90 years ago, and this is our 90th year, right? And it opened in Liverpool with Michael Redgrave and his then wife, Rachel Kempson, playing the leads. I'd love to have heard their County Down accents, because that's where it's set. But anyway, it's a lovely play, and I have a super cast. It's a big cast, which isn't easy to direct, 11 people on this size of a stage. But there are some of them with me tonight. Claire's in it, and Sean up there, and Laura, and Mags is my producer. And Molly has just brought me some nice set dressing down tonight, some nice old-fashioned scales for the counter of the shop. So everybody mucks in.
When are we going to see that?
The 6th to the 9th of May.
Right. You imagine that most people want to join a drama club because they think, I am the next Vivian Lee or whatever. So much goes on behind the scenes. A play doesn't just appear. You have directors, producers, lighting engineers, sound engineers, set designers, costume people. So I'm always fascinated with the sort of behind the scenes folk that might want to join drama clubs or whatever. Or is it a case here, maybe you can tell me, Claire, that everybody mucks in and does everything?
Well, I think to a certain extent there are some people in the club who will sort of try their hand at everything, and then there are people who come and they just want to act, or people who don't want to act and maybe just want to support the club. We do find it difficult now, because we are a smaller group of people. It is more difficult to find people to do backstage work. We've kind of moved away mostly from big kind of box sets, so it's not really so much building sets anymore, whereas where we used to be, there was a big scene dock, and we would have had big sets, and we would have had teams of people building sets. And obviously in the days when we had a larger membership and we were taking plays to festival, we would have had quite large sets. Now we tend to work with some furniture and maybe a little bit of set. We do have a couple of people in the club at the moment who are good on lights and sound. We're lucky with that. But, you know, then you find you're relying on the same people all the time, so that can be difficult. So yes, it's always, I mean, if people want to come and join the club and they're interested in that sort of thing, we're always happy to have people who have an interest in that, because as you say, you can't put a play on unless you've got all the backstage people as well. So it's nice to have people who are willing to do that sort of thing, you know.
We always felt that being trained in drama helped younger people in many ways on to different careers. And lots of us have careers where we've had to stand up in front of people and so forth. And there's no doubt the confidence building of the drama and the training has made a huge difference along the way for many of us.
What about nowadays? Do you have an active youth wing?
In the 1990s, we did have a youth drama section, which was run by Pip Wilson and Aileen Tiny for many years, and then it sort of stopped. For a long time, we didn't have anything, but actually, just last October, 2 of our members, Tanya Turnbull and Janet Clements, have started a youth drama section, which has been really popular. So they're meeting on a Wednesday evening for a couple of hours, I think, maybe on a Wednesday evening, and they've been inundated with people wanting to join it. So there's a waiting list, I think, because they can only take so many kids. But it's been really popular and it's been going really well. So
Hopefully you'll get more members out of it. I mean, not everybody can be an ace on the netball court or the rugby pitch.
yeah.
I just wanted to say that one of the youth theatre members is in my production of Boyd's Shop.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Already?
He's a 13-year-old called Reese, and he's playing a little cheeky chappie who comes, he's right at the start. Dear love him. He's the first person on, and he's great.
Well, you'll have some tips for him, Linda.
But I think it's nice. He's the first member that has come up and been in an adult production sort of thing. So yes, Tanya and Janet seem to be doing great work with the youth theatre, because they rehearse and work here on a Wednesday. I think it's from 6:30 to 7:45, and then we rehearse on a Wednesday night from 8:00. So we're coming in as they're all going out, and there seems to be hordes of them, you know.
I would just like to add into all of that we have for years supported the schools' productions and been involved with the Schools Cup. And we had a schools committee who used to go around the various schools in the area who were doing different productions and award that and be seen to be, if you like, trying to support drama outside of the club activities.
Does the club still do that, or do you have the people? No.
No, we don't do it now. We haven't done it for a while, but it's partly also because the schools aren't doing the same number of productions, and if it is, it's less drama and more musical. We have tended not to do it now, but for a long time that is what we did, and just as we said, they then came and joined, some of them anyway, joined the drama club.
So we've heard about the Little Theatre in Primrose Lane, and then 2013?
2017, this place opened, yeah.
So tell us a wee bit more about how you got your hands on what was formerly the Good Templar Hall, am I correct?
Mm-hmm. How long have you got, Anne? Yeah, there were various efforts to try and improve the premises we were in the sort of 2000s. It was actually Dennis McNeice and Arthur Burns had spearheaded the renovation of the old premises as it was into the small studio theatre that we had then for about 20 years. But there were other attempts to try and get some better space, because the building that we were in was literally falling down. Dennis McNeice and myself spent many years looking around all kinds of options and really needed to get a life at one stage. But we persevered, and it was actually Dennis found this place. And when we looked at what it was, the Good Templar Hall, it just looked awful. And there seemed to be no way that we could change this to actually be a theatre. But Dennis was very persistent, and eventually we came up with a layout that could work. And then we had to try and persuade the architects that it could work, and the builders, who were a little more pessimistic in a much more colourful language. And
Who owned it?
it was owned by the council. But one of the things we had to get done, for instance, was there was a temperance clause attached to the building. So we had to get that clause lifted so there could actually be alcohol in the building. But one thing we discovered in this process was that the building we were in, down Primrose Lane, which had originally been owned by Lord Bangor, there was a set of conditions for the use of that premises. We found the original said it could not be used by either prostitutes or actors. So obviously he didn't think much of either. But we eventually, I mean, the work that went on by so many people in the club to get this place realised was incredible.
Claire, tell me now, the building that we're in, what have we got here? Describe it.
So we have a 100-seat theatre. It's a raked seating bank, and the stage is flat to the floor. So when we initially renovated the building, the seating was fixed. We then got a grant around the time of COVID. We got a grant to put in retractable seating. So part of the seating bank now retracts, which makes it a better space for hiring out during the day because it gives us a lot more floor space. We have a nice foyer with a bar now. We got a bar licence a couple of years ago now, I think it was. There's a very small kitchen. There's a lighting box, a couple of dressing rooms, small dressing rooms. Yeah, so and we've got a good lighting rig, and we've just put in a new sound system as well. So we've got great facilities here, you know, and it's been really popular with other drama groups because we're lucky to have our own building, and a lot of drama groups out there don't have their own premises. So we hire it out to people at a very reasonable rate, and we get professional companies coming in. The council will hire it for events that they're bringing. They use it for Aspect Festival and things like that. So yeah, we have a lot of stuff happening. It's really busy. Just very recently, the last few months, like, you know, it's really hard to find time to get in to do your own rehearsals because there's so much other stuff happening.
But that's,
which is great.
Yeah, it is. It is fantastic because I know that people of a certain generation would have associated the little theatre in Central Avenue, the Operatic Society's theatre, and it went. And then the council said, as part of the Seafront Development Scheme Part 1 in the 1980s, that they were going to build a theatre on Queen's Parade. Yeah. And everybody waited with bated breath to see what would happen, and nothing happened.
Nothing happened, yeah.
So good for you for taking the bull by the horns and proving, I think, that not only do people who want to make drama want a theatre like this, but lots of other people want it too.
Yeah, no, it's great. I think, and because we have a variety of events that are happening here, we will find that people come to a certain event and they maybe have never been here before and they don't even realise it's here. So we're getting new audiences in, and then they'll maybe come back and see something else. So we do, I mean, our shows sell really well, and I think that the hires that come in generally sell well too. So people are encouraged to come back and use the venue again because they know they're going to sell tickets. We've got great poster boards out the front, and it's a really good spot. Now we're right in the centre of town, and I think the poster boards that we have at the front of the building really help to sell shows because they're so visible. So
yeah, not only that, but your beautiful mural that you who did that?
Yes.
for you?
So that was a grant from the council that we got. I think we were awarded it almost a year ago, although we didn't get the money until just recently, and it took almost a year, a lot of blood, sweat and tears to get it organised. But yes, we had a painter, Chris Borman, who painted the facade and did the lettering over the door. We now have our name on the front of the building. That was a bit of a bugbear for a lot of members that we didn't have Bangor Drama Club on the building. So we now have Home of Bangor Drama Club, established 1935, on the front of the building. The mural was done by Frizz, who has also done the Thin Lizzy mural in the town and various other murals around the town. So we were delighted to have her do that. And the feedback has been so positive about it. It's been great.
I think people love it, and I think it just brightens up this end of Hamilton Road and the top of Main Street. And actually it's really exciting because you're here. Kilkilly Women's Centre has the old Northern Bank. Yeah. The Print Workshop is in the Ulster Bank. Boom Studios is in the Allied Irish Bank. And it's such a hub of creativity.
Yeah, right, and the courthouse on the seafront. And
right in the centre of the town. Right, back to Joan and Linda. This is a great theatre. Tell me, can you remember what it was like in the little tiny Primrose Theatre? And what was it like touring around when you did the festivals and things like that? What kind of places did you have to put on plays in?
Well, Carrickmore was a great centre as well as Athlone and all around, because one of the things we did do there certainly was travel all over. And in the 70s that was difficult at times. I would just like to say how resilient this club has been over all the years. You've heard about, the various trials and tribulations. The one that I was involved in was sadly in our travels for summer theatre in Portrush, and we were there doing summer theatre quite happily when we were evacuated from the centre of the town, when we were told there was a bomb there. And I think it just shows how keen we were. We could easily have come home from that night because we'd nowhere to be. This hotel we were all in was evacuated, everything else. I had an aunt living in Portrush. She described it as the greatest night of her life because she had all these people who landed in on her, and she was able to feed us and keep us warm and cosy. But there was never any talk about abandoning. Bomb went off and place was cleared, and we went on in the summer theatre the next night as if nothing had happened, because it was a show must go on. And I think that kind of illustrates what this club has been like all the years I've been in it. The show has to go on. The show's important when we've kept, our promises to the public, but also to the other clubs around to support them as well, and summer theatre. So I think that sums up how the club is. Smaller maybe, yes, different because it is different, but at the end of the day, still going strong.
What about you, Linda? Do you think doing things in real life, IRL, as the kids like to say, actually meeting people, learning scripts, learning where to stand and performing something, do you think that'll survive the 21st century?
Oh, I should think so. I would hope so. One of the things I was actually going to try to bring up tonight, you've led me into it very nicely. As I described them before, the halcyon days, when I joined in the early 60s, and then I left about 1966 because I went to live in Belfast and went on to do other things. But in those days, most people had, with the few exceptions of people who did shift work like doctors, nurses, police, all that sort of thing. This was before the Troubles. Most people had 9 to 5, Monday to Friday jobs. So they were always free to rehearse at night and at a weekend. Also, young people, there wasn't as much around in those days. You watched Coronation Street and you maybe went to a youth club. I mean, I belonged to the Youth Guild where I first trod the boards over next door to us in that church next door, which is now closed. And that was my Saturday night out, And so young people were much more interested in theatre. In those days, drama was not done so much at school. I mean, when I was at Glenola Collegiate, we didn't know what drama was. You learnt a few poems and that was it. But we didn't put on plays. So this was a great outlet for young people. But I think that's all coming back now. I'm so happy to say. They say, who's the Z generation? Is that the younger ones? Who are the very young ones? What are they called?
All I know is none of them are here tonight.
Well, for instance, they say they're not interested in drinking. This is well documented now. People of my age and our age would probably drink far more than the young people. It wasn't like that in my young day, And so I think that this is all coming back, and our youth theatre is manifesting itself in that,
Absolutely. So, Michael, hopefully more people will come along and be members and continue your great traditions. But in your life, are there things that you can say, Bangor Drama Club did that for me, helped me to do things? Linda mentioned it a little bit earlier on when she said it was you, wasn't it, Joan, about standing up in front of people and speaking.
What we're saying reminds me of, I think, the importance not only of the benefits to people who are on stage and get that experience in speaking and presentation, but the amount of organisation that has to be done backstage, and a team in a production becomes a real team. That development of the sense of teamwork, of depending on other people, of that sense of responsibility to other people, being on time, being there for people, being able to think fast on your feet when something happens in live theatre, as it always does. those skills you could not learn elsewhere. And a lot of them come from what is not seen on the stage and what comes in rehearsal before you get any performance. And I'm just remembering, I directed a number of plays when I was a teacher and saw so many of the pupils who would have been very often seen as the messers or getting into trouble in many of the other classes. And yet, whenever they had the opportunity to be part of this team and they had an outlet for their creativity and very often for their frustration, they were transformed. And a lot of them went on with the benefit of that experience and giving credit to that experience to careers that had that creative element to them. And we also had that in a number of productions we had here more recently that involved younger people as well. In Our Town, for instance, in Animal Farm, we had big casts where there were lots of teenagers, 20s, and for me now 20s is very, very young. And a number of those people now have gone on to careers that are very closely linked or directly linked with that experience that they had. So there's massive benefit on stage and backstage.
And you two then, obviously, what did it mean to you? What did Bangor Drama Club help you do, Joan, in your life? Or was it just a place to come and
Well, initially it was a place to come and let off steam or whatever. And I suppose, yes, and just enjoy the crack, and when a play was successful, it's great. Even in the audience, it does be very emotive and lovely. Well, my career went on to do all sorts of different jobs along the way, and I look back and think, well, without the training that I would have had, and I suppose in some ways building your confidence, that it was helpful along the way, and still to this day, because I'm still doing it. I was presenting something last night, and I had to make up this speech like 3 minutes before I got up. And so, yes, it's those sorts of things, reacting when, as you say, something goes wrong, and you know how to cover it up and move on. The drama club played a great part, certainly in my 20s when I was here. And I'm just looking at my photograph behind. It brings back all of those photographs, even to anybody who's sitting in the audience, bring back great memories of achievements along the way, but just putting it on was an achievement in itself.
Absolutely. Now, Linda, you've already said about the news reading and that. Did you find that treading the boards helped with that particular career?
Oh yes. But first of all, Bangor Drama Club gave me a career in the professional theatre for many years. And then when I joined the BBC, and I was lucky enough to be able to do both, being a freelance. Yes, it did, because you know yourself, Anne-Marie, what it's like. You're doing live broadcasting. Nowadays, you're sitting in front of a computer screen, but I always wanted a hard copy in front of me because the screen could just go down, or you'd get somebody running in with a late story, which you were sight reading, or you would press a button to play a tape and it didn't come up. So you'd all sorts of, rather like what Michael is saying, it can be like backstage. Before we had computers, in the old newsroom, and this would have been in the late 70s, there was a lovely old hack, Dennis McGrath. He's long dead, and Dennis's handwriting was unbelievable. He wrote with the softest lead, and it was big, thick. And he came in one day with a late weather forecast warning for me. I couldn't read a word of it, and this is like we're live, And I sort of looked at it and I sort of said, yes, I think it's going to be rather stormy later on, possibly with heavy rain, but a few sunny spells. Making it up as I was just covering everything. So yes, that is one of the things I got from my days, and I'm still getting from the club. I enjoy. It really is my life now since I retired, and I enjoy every minute of it.
What are your hopes for Bangor Drama Club then in the future?
I hope it will go on. I hope it will increase membership. I hope we get loads of young people in. I hope we get people willing not just to be up here, because that's not what it's all about. I mean, I cleaned the toilets out there at one time. I've swept the stage. I'll do anything, you know. And the only thing I won't touch is any technical stuff up there in the lighting box. No. But I hope that you know, people like that will come in, not just wanting to act, maybe wanting to act and do everything else as well. And that we will get loads of members who maybe just want to come on a Thursday night for a bit of crack and listen to a play reading or something. So I think we're firmly on the ground, and please God, it will go on like that long after I am gone.
Claire, what do you think Bangor Drama Club has given to Bangor?
I think we've been here a very long time, and I think there are a lot of people who know us, and we have a really good reputation with the people in Bangor who know about us. I think we are improving on that, because we're getting more and more new people, as I said before, coming into the theatre. I hope we've brought a lot to the town. I think we're well appreciated, and I do think people enjoy our productions, and we do have people calling in. We now have a girl, Lisa, who is our administrator, who is here 3 mornings a week, and she will say, you know, people do call in with her and ask when the next show is coming up and what's happening in the club. And so I think we're definitely part of the furniture in Bangor, and as I say, 90 years we've been here. So I think theatre and drama is very beneficial to people's mental health and all sorts of things, you know. So, and it's unfortunate that there's not much money out there for that sort of thing, but we do what we can, and hopefully we're contributing to that for people, you know.
And Michael, what do you see for the future of the club?
To pick up on what Linda was saying earlier, there has been a change in culture in society in this part of the world, and I think late 90s, when I was still teaching, we experienced it in school. It suddenly became very difficult to get pupils to come in to rehearse on a Saturday, which we used to do, because Tesco's had arrived. Not going to blame just Tesco's, but because Tesco's had arrived, and so many of the pupils had Saturday jobs. And we called it the Tesco's curriculum, because suddenly we couldn't rehearse at the weekends, and then we couldn't rehearse at night in schools. So it really impacted. And I think that's just one tiny part of what caused the change. I think also the fact that we suddenly had the Good Friday Agreement, and Belfast opened up and suddenly became much more accessible. And certainly for my kids, you know, they will go up to Belfast in a way that we wouldn't have dreamed of going to Belfast ever. They've got a completely different experience of life. And it's not just drama clubs that have experienced difficulty in attracting membership over the past 20 years. I mean, so many clubs would report very, very similar experiences. But as Linda says, there seems to be a change now coming again. So I would very much hope that more people will get involved in doing live theatre, because it's an experience like no other. And I would also hope that more people in Bangor and the surrounds actually come to see plays, because if you have got a very well presented quality piece of writing, it's not just the team presenting it that benefit from it, because the impact that can have on an audience is for a lifetime. It can be an unforgettable experience. And so many people in theatre will talk of moments when you are presenting a very well-rehearsed, excellent piece of writing, and you've got the audience sitting in the palm of your hand, and you know they are just waiting for your next words, and your words will have massive impact on them. And it can be a complete game changer for people to see those kinds of plays. And that's what people are missing. So that's what I hope people will get back here.
What an uplifting evening. I'm delighted that things are progressing beautifully for Bangor Drama Club. Don't forget, their next production, Boyd's Shop, runs from the 6th to the 9th of May. And you can book tickets by scanning the code on the poster outside the theatre, by calling in, or following them on social media. My thanks to Linda, Joan, Michael and Claire. And you can find photos of the club casts through the years on our website, littlebangorstories.co.uk. If you've enjoyed this episode, please like and share. Until the next time.